good morning, and welcome to Morning Joy Mental Notes. I am Kenneth Joyner, and I am excited about today's topic, right? I am excited about you being back here with me today, and excited about the fact that we're going to talk about a topic that's very dear to me. The topic is emotional intelligence, right? And the reason why this topic is so instrumental to me is because it is something that I had to learn over life. And I understood that once I learned that it unlocked a lot of things for me, right? There's research that shows that almost 80% of an adult's success can be attributed to their ability to utilize their emotional intelligence, right? So when we're working in certain sectors, certain systems, certain businesses, the reason why we climb the ladder is not necessarily because of the information that we know, which plays a part. It's really because of the way that we can navigate our emotional intelligence and utilize our emotional intelligence. Reason being is because most situations, most sectors require us to deal with people on a daily basis in different ways, right? So we have to deal with customers, we have to deal with colleagues and coworkers, and then we have to be able to deal with administrators that may be bringing down certain instruction to us. So the way that you navigate those spaces and the way that you receive those spaces is very, very critical to your success. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, there are five major components. Those five components is self-awareness, self-control, motivation, empathy, and your social skills, right? So you have self-awareness, which is knowing yourself. You have self-control, which is your ability to regulate yourself. You have empathy, which is your ability to understand others. You have motivation, which is your ability to excite yourself and excite others. And then social skills, which is your ability to interact with others effectively and efficiently, right? So those five areas are the big areas. But the reason why I wanted to talk about these things is because now when you hear them listed like that, you can understand why they can play a certain role. So climbing up the leadership ladder, your ability to motivate yourself and motivate others, you can see how that can help you, right? Your ability to understand others, you can see how that can help you in leadership. But also from a subordinate position, you can understand why controlling yourself can help you. You can understand why social skills can help you. And knowing yourself is probably the biggest one of all, because all of these situations come from an internal place. So a lot of times we find ourselves frustrated with the world, mad at the external world, mad at the people around us, mad at the situations. But the more you can build this thing called emotional intelligence, the more those things start to reduce in the amount of strain and stress that they can place on you. So the situation doesn't get easier, you just get better at handling it, right? So again, those five things are self-awareness, self-control, empathy, motivation, and social skills. So I want to talk a little bit about self-awareness, the first one. Self-awareness, knowing yourself. This is real big because we all grew up with different experiences. And research shows that 95% of our decision-making comes from the subconscious. What that means is you may think that we're making those decisions, but they are rooted in something deeper than what we're thinking about right there in that moment, right? So how you've grown up, the type of situations that you've dealt with have all play a role in the decision making that you make in a certain situation. So knowing yourself is going to allow you to make the best decisions. It's going to allow you to be able to play defense against certain things, right? Pay attention to how you play defense in certain things. A part of my story is I grew up dealing with certain feelings of anxiety, certain anxious reactions, right? So when I was younger, I felt way more comfortable avoiding big crowds. I felt way more comfortable sitting in the back of a room. And to me, when I first was doing it, I thought it was just a natural feeling that just made me feel comfortable. But then what I started to realize is there was a deeper root to it. And I realized there was a fear of judgment, right? So I didn't want to be seen by everybody in the room, which is why I would sit in the back. There was a fear of judgment, so I didn't want to go into a room where there was more people, which is a better chance for more people to judge me and have something to say about what I had going on. But if I didn't know myself, I wouldn't be able to identify that, and I would just think that's just how things are. I know we've all ran into that situation where somebody might just say, hey, that's just how I am, right? But in this process of building emotional intelligence, we're going to be able to stop saying that's just how I am, and we're going to go towards results-driven action, right? So that's the first one, self-awareness, self-awareness. So we have 4 more, but what I want to do is I want to take a break because we have to pay the bills and we got to bring a song in real fast. So when we come back, we're going to breeze over the next 4 of those components that are encompassed in emotional intelligence. And we are back. I appreciate you all sticking in there with me. And again, we're talking about emotional intelligence. We have reviewed the first component of emotional intelligence, which is self-awareness, a big one, because everything comes from an internal place, right? But we want to go to the second one, which is self-regulation. So they kind of go hand in hand, because once you know yourself, the next step is to be able to regulate yourself. So we all have triggers. We all have things that may bring about anxiety or anxious reactions in us, bring about fear. Things may bring about certain emotions like anger, right? Avoidance, those type of patterns. So being able to regulate yourself and put yourself in the position of where you want to go. Again, the ultimate goal is results. So if we want to get certain results, regulation is going to be a big key, because we have instinctive responses, we have instinctive patterns and behaviors that come behind certain things, but they may not get us to the results that we need, right? So for me, going back to my example of sitting in the back of the classroom and not going to certain environments because of certain fears that I didn't know were there. I first found out that they were there, and then I started realizing, hey, I'm regretting a lot of different things because I can't go to these certain things. I can't get these certain experiences. I might be overlooked for certain things that I want to be a part of. So what I had to start doing is regulating the fear. So I had to start understanding the fear, going in and regulating the fear. And I can do that through different activities like exposure, activities like processing. For some people, it will require things like going to see a professional therapist to find out why these things feel like they feel, and then being able to adjust. But that regulation is a big component, because we want to be able to get results, right? So that's the first 2. And then the third one that we're looking at is empathy. Empathy is your ability to understand others and put yourself in someone's shoes. Because just like we said, we have self-awareness and self-regulation, and we walk through our experience, other people have the same thing, right? So just like I had a fear factor that was adjusting how I was moving, other people do too. So if I say something to somebody and they become triggered and they respond aggressively, I can start to understand, oh, wow, I triggered that person. I don't necessarily have to take that personal, because that's coming from somewhere deeper than what I just said to them. Like I said, 95% of a person's decision-making comes from their subconscious. So the majority of the reactions that we have are not fully personal anyway, right? But we just have this idea where we want things to be comfortable and want things to be in a good space. So it's natural for us to feel away. But being able to regulate that, right? And then understand that that person may have had a bad day. That person may have heard that as a triggering statement. Maybe I need to come with another approach, right? Maybe I need to walk away and come back and try to approach it a different way, or bring a mediator the next time we have a conversation, right? But understanding a person will give us that opportunity. So that's number 3, empathy. Number 4 is a big one, and this one is motivation. We find a lot of times, I know I am a person that really procrastinates, right? So a lot of things that I've missed, or opportunities that I've allowed to cause me more strain or stress, have been a product of me procrastinating, or a product of me being fearful of failure, fearful of not being able to put it together like I need to. So emotional intelligence will allow us to develop that motivation muscle, right? Being able to motivate ourselves. And then once we find that, we can start to do the same thing for others. So being able to motivate others, because if you can make others feel good and you can help others reach certain results, they probably are more likely to be around, to want to be around you and want to cling to you, right? So again, that 80% of success that we talked about at the beginning of the segment, that lets us know why that is so. Because if I can motivate people, not only do they want to work with me and for me, but also other people are gonna want to put me in position to lead other people because I have this skill that we're talking about, right? And then the last one is your social skills, your ability to communicate, which is a big one. So all of those things that we just talked about before this go hand in hand with your ability to communicate. So your self-awareness, your self-regulation. Now I have these feelings and I can say them to somebody else or let somebody else know, hey, I don't do well with this situation because I know myself, right? So if you put me in this situation, I can thrive better. I'm more motivated, right? So now you put yourself in better positions to succeed. Same thing with empathy. If I feel and understand where you're coming from, I probably can relate to you a lot better. When I was growing up, people with a very straightforward or confrontational type of approach, I would avoid them because that was a trigger of mine, right? So the people that connected to me well were people that came with a welcoming spirit, people that came with a soft spirit, and they came to me with from a place where I felt like I could relate to them or they could relate to me, right? So we can understand how these social skills can start to help you climb the ladder. And to be honest, if you can get that down pat, all 5 of these down pat, then you can start to conquer any sector that you go into. So the big part is being able to put these together, making sure that you continue to develop, continue to understand that everything is internal and you can conquer anything that you want to, but it's a battle of you versus you. Stop focusing on the outside world, the external world, and start realizing the battle is between you and yourself. Right? So again, emotional intelligence, those 5 components: self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, motivation, and social skills. And what we're going to do is we're going to get ready to close out with that. But I'm probably going to try to come back to you next month and just talk more ways that we can cope and build these muscles, right? These emotional intelligence muscles, so we can continue to conquer those spaces that we're going into. But until next time, I will see you then and just continue to build that emotional intelligence muscle.